Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Triple Double Nation. Today we'll be going over top 6 possible James Harden trade proposals. Let's get into the video. It's been an eventful 12 months for the Houston Rockets. It all started off with Daryl Morey's infamous tweet that created problems for the NBA with China, and somewhat fittingly finished off last Thursday with Morey stepping down from his position as the general manager. In between, the Rockets lost in 5 games to the Lakers in the second round of the playoffs. Head coach Mike D'Antoni opted to become a coaching free agent rather than return next season. And the pandemic hasn't helped the pocketbook of owner Tillman and Farida, who is heavily invested in casinos, restaurants, and resorts. We now know that Harden might want to go to the Nets and team up with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, which would be nuts. The eyes of the NBA would now turn to Houston, where many have wondered if they'll opt to blow things up now that Morey is out of town. Fact is, we really have no idea what the Rockets will do, and the current roster doesn't provide much clarity on things. For the sake of getting crazy with the NBA offseason here, let's just imagine that they decided to hear out offers for James Harden. No deal is easy, and it would obviously take a haul, but let's just imagine it for a second. What would a Harden trade look like? Thinking about trading either former MVP on the roster in James Harden or Russell Westbrook sounds strange to say, but when everything the Rockets have been faced with, maybe it's time for the franchise to shift into rebuilding mode. If that's the case, they decide to go, here are trades they should consider making for Harden. Harden to Nets. Woj just broke this news and it's pretty crazy. Could you imagine the Nets adding James Harden to a core with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving? That would be insane and extremely entertaining. Would it work? Who the hell knows? But they would be appointment TV every single night. In this deal we came up with, the Nets send Jarrett Allen and Chris Levert, Spencer Dinwiddie to the Rockets along with some drafts. Who knows what the Rockets would want in a Harden trade, but if he demands a trade, it would be hard to match that offer. Harden and Covington to Philadelphia. Houston's outlook, this trade is unquestionably the biggest blockbuster deal out there for Harden. Not only will the Rockets get back 2 first-round draft picks, which figure to be late in the round 1, but they also get a franchise cornerstone in Ben Simmons. The drop in talent is certainly there, but if the Rockets are able to pull this off, the time between playoff appearances in Houston will be very short. If it even exists at all, Josh Richardson is a good complementary piece, and both Zaire Smith and Matisse Thybulle have a solid amount of potential. Philadelphia's outlook. The 76ers would suddenly not have the floor space that Joel Embiid needs to thrive, but they would also have one of the greatest perimeter scorers of all time. The defense is sure to take a hit, but adding Robert Covington back in the deal will help ease things on that end. Harden hasn't played much pick and roll as of late, but getting back to that type of two-man game with Embiid could make him truly unstoppable. Harden to Chicago. Houston's outlook. If the Rockets are serious about rebuilding, getting back the 4th overall pick along with 2 recent cost-controlled top 10 picks is a pretty good place to start. Kobe White showed flashes of being pretty good last year before the NBA shut down, and the best thing for Lauri Markkanen might be a change of scenery. For this deal to work, Otto Porter Jr. would need to accept his $28.4 million player option, which is difficult to imagine. After this year, that money leaves the books and gives the Rockets some financial flexibility. Chicago's outlook. The Bulls have been searching for the right direction for some time now. Right now, the Bulls look like a team that's going to be fighting for a playoff spot next year if everything goes correctly. Letting Harden run the show with Zach LaVine and his sidekick would be an interesting look that should produce a playoff appearance. Chicago still might be one more move away from being an Eastern Conference contender if they grab Harden, but they're light years closer than currently constructed. Harden to Denver. Houston's outlook. This package might be a touch aggressive for the Rockets, depending on your feelings toward Michael Porter Jr. Then again, it's Harden they're trading away. This deal gives Houston a potential replacement star for at least 5 more seasons in Porter, as well as reasonably priced guys in Will Barton and Gary Harris. The Rockets also get back their own first-round pick this year and future first from Denver. If Houston wants to sell off Barton and Harris for more picks, they can, but this sets them up for a somewhat bright future as long as Porter's back holds up. Denver's outlook. The Nuggets got a taste of real playoff success the year before losing in 5 games to the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. Coming back down from 3-1 against Utah was impressive, but it was a situation that many didn't expect Denver to ever be in. Doing that same feat in the second round against the Clippers was something no one saw coming, and one of the most impressive things from the bubble. Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray are both stars in the making, and truthfully, Jokic is already there. But is that going to be enough in the West? Almost every team is a threat to make the playoffs next year, and adding a former MVP to the mix is only going to make them scarier. Harden heads to South Beach. Houston's outlook. We just saw on the run of the NBA Finals what the Heat are able to create. Tyler Herro went from a late lottery draft pick to a guy that now has the looks of a future star. Duncan Robinson went from a little-known Division III basketball player to knockdown three-point shooter. Those guys might not ever equal what James Harden is, but they're going to be good players in the NBA for a long time. Andre Iguodala signed his extension with Miami when he was traded from Memphis, and just like last winter, some contending team is going to want to add him into the mix for a playoff run. Miami's outlook. Pat Riley got really close to building a championship winner in Miami again. The Heat fell in 6 games to the Lakers in the finals, but if they want to get back to the big stage next season, they're going to need to be even better. Adding James Harden to the mix absolutely does that. When they go through spells when it became difficult for them to score, they needed a better bucket getter than Jimmy Butler, and there's no question Harden is that. The one caveat to this trade for Miami is that it complicates plans for next offseason, which the Heat have lined up to chase Giannis Antetokounmpo should he pass on signing the Supermax and becomes a free agent. The Beard X Blazers. Houston's outlook. The Rockets do pretty well in this trade and recharge the roster with young talent in Anthony Simmons and Nazir Little, as well as grab an all-star caliber guard in C.J. McCollum. Now, is having McCollum lead the team the best idea? Probably not, but he definitely has enough value to where he would be worth at least one first-round draft pick. Portland's outlook. The Trail Blazers have been a really fun team to watch over the last few years. The run to Western Conference Finals in 2019 was awesome. Even the run just to make the playoffs down in Orlando after an injury-riddled 2020 regular season was terrific. But are the Blazers considered a legitimate threat to win a championship? No. If they were to go out and make a splash by adding Harden, they would not suddenly become the title favorites. But there would definitely be a team that has the ability to win it all. The 1-2 combination of Harden and Damian Lillard would instantly be one of the basketball's best ever seen. This brings us to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any of our videos in the future.